If you wanted to dismantle a society without firing a shot, how would you do it? You wouldn't bomb their cities. You would just make them too expensive to live in. In 1970, the American dream was a math problem that anyone could solve. The median home cost roughly 2 years of the median salary. You worked for 2 years, you owned your life. Today, that ratio has more than doubled nationally. In major cities, it has quintupled. Los Angeles is now over 12 times income. San Jose, over 10. Two six-figure incomes now feel broke. Not because they buy too much coffee, but because the math has fundamentally broken. We are told this is just the economy. Supply chains, interest rates, bad luck. But what if it's not chaos? What if it's a mechanism? If you look closely, you realize the middle class isn't dying by accident. It is being liquidated. They are using a playbook that is older than the Constitution. A silent, slow-motion squeeze designed to lock the exit doors to wealth while leaving the illusion of opportunity open. Welcome to the history of money, where we look past how fortunes are earned and expose how they are seized. Every mechanism destroying your purchasing power today has been used before. Let me show you how the machine works. But be warned. The first mechanism is one you likely cheered for when it happened, not realizing it was designed to rob you. Mechanism 1. The Cantillon Squeeze. When the Federal Reserve prints money, it doesn't rain down equally. It enters the economy at a specific point, through banks and financial institutions. They get the new money first. They buy assets, stocks, real estate at current prices. Then prices rise. By the time wages catch up, if they ever do, assets are already out of reach. The goal isn't to make bread expensive. That angers the poor, and angry poor people riot. The goal is to make assets expensive, pump up the stock market and real estate so the wealthy feel richer while the middle class watches the exit door to wealth close forever. Look at the COVID era. The Federal Reserve printed trillions to buy assets, but for every dollar of direct stimulus that went to a family, $11 went to the financial system. The wealthiest 10% of Americans own 93% of all stock market equity. So when you print money to inflate the stock market, you are running a direct wealth transfer to the people who already own everything. This observation is 300 years old. Richard Cantillon was an Irish-French economist writing in the 1730s, before Adam Smith wrote anything. His insight was simple. When a gold mine is discovered, those closest to the source get the new money first. They buy goods at pre-inflation prices, they become rich. Those furthest from the source only see the inflation. They become poor. Cantillon didn't just theorize this, he lived it. He made his fortune during the Mississippi bubble, bought early, sold at the peak, and watched everyone else get destroyed. He understood. Proximity to new money is wealth. Distance from it is poverty. They named it the Cantillon effect. We call it quantitative easing. Since 2008, the Fed's balance sheet exploded from under $1 trillion to nearly $9 trillion. Asset prices followed. Home prices are up over 150%. Wages? Barely up 50%. The rich get the new money before prices rise. The middle class gets it after. But while printing money makes you poor, the next mechanism ensures you stay that way forever. Mechanism 2. The enclosure of housing. Housing used to be for living. A place to raise a family, build equity, pass to your children. Now housing is a speculative asset on a balance sheet. You don't abolish ownership. You just price it for the gods. In the early 80s, nearly 1 in 5 homeowners was under 35. Today, that number has been cut almost in half. The home ownership pipeline is being closed from the bottom up. Large institutional investors are buying up single-family homes by the hundreds of thousands. In key markets like Atlanta or Phoenix, they are cornering the starter home market, exactly where first-time buyers compete. In Atlanta alone, institutional owners now control a quarter of all single-family rentals. MetLife projects that by 2030, institutional investors could control 40% of all single-family rentals, up from just 5% in 2022. Meanwhile, the Airbnb economy incentivizes owners to house tourists instead of residents. Short-term rentals yield 75% more than long-term leases. The middle class gets priced out of buying and renting. This mechanism is also centuries old. England, 1750. The Enclosure Acts. For centuries, peasants farmed common lands. The commons belonged to everyone. The Enclosure Acts privatized those commons. Land that was communal became private property. Peasants who had farmed it for generations became landless laborers, forced to rent from the new owners or migrate to cities as factory workers. The pattern is identical. Take the foundational asset of the middle class. Convert it into a yield-generating instrument for the upper class. In 1750, it was common land. In 2025, it's starter homes. They enclose the commons. Now they're enclosing the suburbs. But even if you manage to buy a home, the system has a third trap designed to strip your wealth before you can even spend it. Mechanism 3. The W-2 trap. The middle class is the only class that truly pays taxes. The poor receive subsidies. The wealthy use strategies to defer or eliminate them. The middle class? Income confiscated at the source before they even touch it. Compare the rates. A high earner making money from a salary pays nearly double the tax rate of a wealthy investor making the same money from capital gains. The system punishes labor, how you make money, and rewards capital, how they make money. Over 70% of the tax benefit from lower capital gains rates goes to taxpayers earning over $1 million. This has been codified for over 100 years. USC law professor Edward McCaffrey named the strategy the wealthy use. Buy, borrow, die. Step 1. Buy. Buy appreciating assets. Stocks, real estate. These grow tax-free as long as you don't sell. Step 2. Borrow. Borrow against those assets. Loans aren't taxable income. Elon Musk used this to acquire Twitter, borrowed against Tesla shares, no stock sale, no capital gains tax. Step 3. Die. Assets pass to heirs with a stepped-up basis, and the tax liability is wiped clean. Generations of gains, zero tax. Once you're rich, it's simple. Buy, borrow, die. The Romans understood this game perfectly. The Roman tax system evolved to shift the burden entirely onto the plebeian class. Property taxes were eliminated for wealthy Italian landowners, while the head tax fell on the workers and conquered peoples. In Constantinople, they went further. The state devalued the copper currency used by the poor while protecting the gold solidi used by the wealthy. A direct wealth transfer through monetary manipulation. Same playbook, different millennium. But while taxes take a chunk of your income, the final mechanism is designed to take the rest of it. Forever. Mechanism 4. Subscription serfdom. You used to buy software. Now you rent it. Adobe Photoshop was $699 one time. Now it's $23 a month. Forever. Microsoft Office was $150 one time. Now it's $100 a year. Forever. Heated seats in your car. Subscription. Everything is becoming a monthly fee. You used to own your home. Now, increasingly, you rent from institutional landlords. The pattern, what was once a one-time purchase, becomes perpetual revenue extraction. Death by 1,000 cuts. Convert the middle class from owners of capital into yield cows for corporate balance sheets. The subscription economy hit $487 billion in 2024 and is projected to reach $2 trillion by 2034. The average American household now spends nearly $1,000 a year just on subscriptions. If you own nothing, you have no power. No equity to borrow against, nothing to sell, nothing to pass down. The subscription model doesn't just extract money, it prevents wealth accumulation. This is also ancient. Serfs didn't just pay rent, they paid fees for everything. Fees to use the Lord's mill, fees to use his ovens, fees to cross his bridges, fees to get married, fees when they died. Everything essential carried a perpetual cost. The Lord owned the infrastructure. The serf paid for access. After the Civil War, sharecropping replicated the same trap. Farmers worked land they didn't own, paying a percentage of each harvest to landowners. They could never accumulate enough to buy their own land. The system perpetuated itself across generations. We sharecrop our digital lives. We pay perpetual fees for tools, entertainment, and increasingly physical goods, never building equity, always paying rent. Modern serfs with better screens. For most of human history, there were two classes: lords who owned, serfs who worked. In medieval Europe, 90% of the population were serfs. No property, no mobility, no power. The middle class is a historical anomaly, a 20th century creation born from unique post-war conditions. The GI Bill, FHA mortgages, strong unions, high marginal taxes on the wealthy that funded public investment. Economists called it the Great Compression. But we are reverting to the mean. Since 1980, inequality has climbed steadily. The top 10% wealth share is returning to pre-World War I levels. The U.S. Gini index is approaching Roman Empire levels of inequality. The playbook is clear. Print money that flows to the top first. Financialize housing into institutional yield. Tax labor at the source while capital gains get special treatment. Replace ownership with subscriptions that extract forever. 4 mechanisms, each one ancient, each one running today. The middle class isn't being killed by inflation. It's being harvested. Systematically. Legally. History doesn't repeat, but the incentives do. You should subscribe now to spot the next trap before it closes. Because if you don't know history, you're doomed to finance it. The playbook is designed to make you a serf. Knowing the rules is the only way to break them. You cannot win playing the W2 game alone. You must acquire assets, minimize extractive debt, refuse the role of yield cow. History doesn't repeat, but the incentives do. You should subscribe now to spot the next trap before it closes. Because if you don't know history, you're doomed to finance it. And if you want to see the historical endgame, where the middle class was legally turned into permanent renters, you need to watch The Renter Trap next. It explains how Rome turned citizens into serfs and how the same trap is set for you. Click right here, and I'll see you there.